welcome back. Welcome everyone. Hello and good evening. Welcome back. Glad you made it. It's good morning. Good afternoon. Hello. Welcome back. It is July the 22nd, 2026. Thank you for joining me once again. If you're joining us for the first time, buckle up, buckle down. If you've been with me for whatever, however long you've been here, hello. We're here together once again doing it on this beautiful Wednesday, wherever you're tuning in from, whether it's Canada, Wagwan to meet the familias, further down south, the United States of America, all 50 states, Wagwan, further down south, Mexico, Viva la raza, right there, further down south, South America, over there in Europe, of course, Asia, Africa, Antarctica, Papua New Guinea, New Zealand, of course, over there in South Korea, over there in Singapore, over there in Morocco, a little tiny nation in the Mediterranean region, I think, if I'm not mistaken, just like hanging off the side of France, just like nibbling on France's teats. Why am I talking about Morocco? We're not going to get into it. Perhaps a little bit of Ukrainian spy games taking place in Morocco. We're not even going to cover that today because there's just so much fun stuff to talk about. It doesn't matter. The point is, wherever you are, I hope your tits are firm and lactating. I hope your vulva is evolving. I hope your cock is erect and filled with blood. And may you get. And for the viewers today, should today be the first day that you tune in, moving forward, you will now get 3x the amount of blood into your peen. You're welcome. For the ones who've been here from before, you too are also getting 3 times. That's 3 times. That's 3x the amount of blood in your peen. You're welcome. Starting off with just a bit of house cleaning and gift giving, if you will. Shout out to the familials. Let's just begin. Let's just get right into it if we can. Let's get a sip of this for a second, first and foremost. And this is, let's just start. Let's just, hold on a sec. Right there. Eating your out is, of course, it's a beautiful task that the gentlemen do, and some women partake as well in the munching on the old beaver tail, if you know what I'm talking about. Eating her out. Going down on her. Going down south, if you will. Going over there south of the border, going over there where you know, seeking that little, you know, sideways crooked ass smile that we all love. Eating her out. What am I talking about? I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about, down there, Homer Simpson's mouth essentially is what I'm talking on the females. What have we been talking about? Going down on her is, of course, a beautiful task, a beautiful endeavor. Many take upon themselves to go down this path and seek out adventure, and many do, but many don't do the eating out whilst she's on her period, which is why we're here today, to talk about this important topic with you guys and gals, because I've been listening, and I believe there's a concern out there. People are wondering, they're like, is it okay, Rob? People have asked, just like they've asked Don Lemon. They can't stop asking him if he's going to run for president, and just like that, people have asked me many a times. You wouldn't believe the number of people who ask me, like, Rob, I want to eat her out when she's on her period, and how do I do it? And I said, good on you, soldier. Good on you, you're brave gentleman. And to the few ladies who want to go down this path, of course, it's a little bit, you know, I'll say this, in the eating out game, it's a little bit avant-garde. I'm not gonna beat around the bush. Start off, of course, little by little. If you've never ingested period blood while you're eating her out, you're like, I eat her out only, you know, 3 weeks out of the 4 weeks of the month, or sometimes 4.5, almost 5 weeks of some months. It doesn't matter. You're like, I mostly eat her out when she's not bleeding. As soon as I start to, you know, taste nickel and copper, outie, nickel and copper in this guy's mouth, outie, you know, you close up shop, you lock it up, you're like, I'll see you in about, you know, 3 to 7 days, toots. And you put a little, you know, lock on it, you put chains on it, you know, you got a little tiny, you know, it's got a little sign. So, you know, be back in, it's like a convenience store, you know. Somebody's running to the bathroom in the convenience store. There's a sign, you're like, oh, when are they gonna be back? It says, I'll be back in 5 minutes, samesies, but it's puss. So it says, you know, be back in like 3 to 7. But also don't be a stranger. Drop by sometime in between. You never know. What are we even talking about, ladies and gentlemen? Eating her out, that's right, when she's on her period. Start small ingest a little bit of the blood, get a little bit on your lips, get a little bit over your face, over your mouth. A lot of people might feel like, oh, is this bad for me? Let me ask you, what are you made out of? Water. Some people say 99% water, 1% other stuff, miscellaneous, they'll say that. And the other 1%, and who knows about stats? I say it's also blood though, also blood. Who cares about the stats? You're made of water and blood and meat and protein and cells, and who cares though? It doesn't matter. You're made of blood. So if it's inside her, if it's good for her, it's good for you. Make sure you get it fresh. What I don't recommend though, do not let her like bleed out, and then like if she starts bleeding out, you want to take it fresh. It's like the same goes for fish. I think the same goes, they say eat fish. The fresher the fish, the better the fish. The same goes with period blood. If you're gonna eat it right then and there. Don't be like, oh, she's bleeding right now and it's a hot summer day. We're gonna let her like bleed through the day and just it's gonna turn bad. It goes bad quick. You gotta eat it. And you're like, what if I get the blood clots, the little clumpy, just chunks of blood and like, internal is that good for me? That's also good for you. That's also good for you. It's inside her body. Why wouldn't it be good for you? Of course, you want to cover your face entirely in the blood and the period juice. And you're like, what if I want to go down on her multiple times? Should I wash my face? If I'm eating her out in the morning before I head out to work, should I wash my face after I've eaten her out and I got the blood on my face? Should I wash my face to go to work? Honestly, no. To be honest, I know it's counterintuitive because you're like, oh, I must wash my face before I go out into public, because people are going to be like, oh no, did this guy is this guy like an ex MMA fighter? Is he a boxer? Did he just fight a rabbit? Did he get into a little wrestling with a raccoon, with a local neighborhood raccoon? What happened to his face? You don't want to scare people, but at the same rate, the more you do it, the more it becomes normalized. So the first few people walking out with blood on their face in the morning, it's probably gonna turn heads. I'm not gonna lie to you. We're gonna keep it $1.50 right here. It's probably gonna turn heads. People are gonna ask questions, but you just keep steady and you keep on marching on. All right. And that way, once you get back home, sometime around like 4, 5, 6, before you go, maybe din should be after. You go down or once you return from work, again, covering again, and you don't waste time washing your face because you're gonna get blood all over your face again. So it'd be stupid for you to wash your face in the morning, heading out to work, and then come back and then get blood on it all over again in the afternoon. Not to mention, probably don't wash it again then either, because you're gonna have dinner, and then in the evening, if you're gonna be hitting it 3 times in the day, you're gonna get blood on your face then too. So there's no point in washing your face at all. I say during the time, let's just to err on the, I want to err on safety. I think it's better to I'll err, it's for the 3 to 7 days that she's on the rag, she's bleeding. Don't take a shower or wash your face at all. That's what I say, because it's just, there's no point. There's literally no point. And another thing you want to do is like, the reason why people don't find each other in communities is because people can't, find each other. That's the whole, if you're signaling to one another with the blood on your face, it's easy to be like, oh, that fella eats her out while she's on her period. We're probably going to be, friends. But guess what? If everybody's washing their face, you're just like, oh, I'm the only one with blood on my face because of, the eating her out on her period, and everybody else has washed their face. I guess nobody else is into, ingesting period blood, and you feel like an outcast, and we don't want you to feel like that. So please, if you can just spread the word, don't wash your face, go down on her. Swallowing is of course key. After you've ingested a little bit, work your way up to swallowing the entire thing. Don't let anything go to waste. To be honest with you, if you're really good at it, once you get, and I'm not saying this is going to happen overnight. I'm not saying this will happen like in a blink of an eye. Once you get really good at ingesting the blood, all right, you might gag a few times, but once you get really comfortable with it, it's just adding another, flavor to your palate, essentially. Just learning. A lot of things are learned. Once you learn to like it, love it, you'll eat up the entire thing. Actually, you probably won't even leave any trace behind. And that's another reason you don't even have to wash anything, because you've ingested every last drop of her period blood. So nothing went to waste, and your face is actually clean, technically speaking. I mean, like clean, like when a cat licks his asshole like clean like that, or when a dog licks his balls like that, or like when a dog licks her puss like that clean. Not clean, but still, presentable at least. So that's a little bit of a, I guess, you're welcome. I say, if you're gonna do it, man up. The rest of society who doesn't do it, of course, we know who did. This is how we pick out what do they say about you pick the litter from the chaff and the wheat, and separate the chaff from the wheat. This is what it is. So the weaklings have got to go. If you're not gonna eat it with the blood, then what are you even doing here? Anybody can eat it when it's not bleeding, dog. Anybody can, friggin' a blind bat can eat it when it's not bleeding, walk into the jungle, a half retarded orangutan can eat it when it's not bleeding. Yeah, you give a horse a sugar cube, and when it's not bleeding, after it's finished with the sugar cube, a horse will eat the puss when it's not bleeding. But when it's what I'm trying to say is that anybody can eat it when it's not bleeding. The real ones, the ones, the real, the ones that fucking hold it down, the ones they're gonna be in the trenches with you. Those ones eat it when it's bleeding, and love it, and the other ones, gay. That's what the streets are saying. Of course, I don't make the rules. That's just the way it is. But shout out to the gang. You're welcome. Thank you for bringing this topic up. And of course, many people ask me how to deal with this situation. Just like many people asked Don Lemon to run for president. Samesies. Ladies and gentlemen, this topic, of course, I will say, this is actually beautiful. This is beautiful on many different levels, because I heard about this. I heard about the AOC. She's apparently gone around in Memphis. And when she was in Memphis, she'd done some code switching. And code switching, for those of you who don't know, is when you talk one way and then you get into another situation and you talk another way based on your audience. You try to mirror it and you match it. Some people like it, some people don't. This is actually a great opportunity because I don't even agree with a lot of things AOC says. Like most of the times I've seen clips of her talking. She seemed like a lovely person, but when she's talking, like if she were quiet, she'd do really well. If she was like, if she didn't talk and was just like her face, maybe, and maybe in show more tits, she has a chance to win hearts. For what reason? It doesn't matter. But when she talks, ruins the entire experience. But what I did hear, this one, she got a little bit of flack because apparently she went down to Memphis and did a little bit of code switching. Some people say don't code switch. This is, again, despite the fact that I don't agree with anything she says, I still think code switching is a God-given, or if you don't believe in God, it's a nature-given God-given gift to humanity. That's my take on it, at least. You should be able to code. I love code. So half this podcast is code. Like 75% of this, 85, if we're being completely honest, 99% of this podcast is just code switching. If we're not, if we're being completely honest, really. The point is that it's a fun activity. It's a fun to do different voices, and really get into it. What I was kind of bummed out about. And again, this says that we can all come together from different sides and work together as a collective. It doesn't have to be just, fucking drag your, counterparts through the mud and the dirt and the fecal matter and the AIDS-ridden fecal matter and mixed with rabies, drag your counterparts through mud infested with AIDS and rabies. That shouldn't be like that. We should at points come together and be like, hey, you know what? Despite the fact that I might not even agree with you on a lot of things, but we still have this common desire to code switch, which is beautiful. Think about it. You go through life as a baby. You're like, you come out and start crying. I'm a baby. I can't talk. Look at my wobbly head. You'll say, and you kind of mime that shit. And we know how the majority of people feel about mimes. No bueno. So babies have to code. So we have to teach them how to talk language. So they go from, crying and smiling sometimes and shitting and pissing themselves to evolving and learning language. And then they talk with like a baby voice, and then you're like that. And then sometimes parents will talk to their kids in a baby voice, which is weird, in my opinion anyway. But then babies evolve and they turn into teens, and then they start to eventually code switch out of baby talk to teen talk, and then out of teen talk they'll evolve in like young adult talk, and then eventually they'll actually grow into their own voices, like mature human beings. So that process alone, you've code switched like 3-4 times. And again, I say it's actually retarded not to code switch. I'm going to be honest with you. In my opinion, it's reading the room. It's being able to put yourself in other people's position. It's being able to, and it's fun, to be honest with you. It's really fun. I don't know how many different accents we've done on this podcast, and I will never stop. This is coming from as a black man, as a black and white man, as a black Japanese white man. I can tell you that, the code switching is just what it is. It's, you grow up with, what if people were bilingual? Are you code switching then if you speak more than 2 languages? What about people who are trilingual? What about that? Are they code switching? Should they just pick one and go from there? I say code switch hard. What I didn't like is that she didn't code switch hard enough. I think she was going for the, black preacher voice. I think she was going, again, demographics, you got to get to know your audience. Mirror back energy. I love mirroring back energy. I love mirroring, like that's 99% of my life has just been mirroring back energy. That's what it is. Go harder. If you're gonna do black preacher voice, go, brothers and sisters, you got to get into the scene and just do whatever it takes to get it done. Can I get an amen? Put it down. Yes, sir. You know what I'm talking about? You really got to commit to the bit, is what I'm trying to say. If you're gonna do code switching, that is. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah. When I'm with my Japanese family and friends, and I start speaking Japanese. When I'm with, when I'm with my Swedes, I start, fucking talking that Swedish meatball, talk that shit. So what it is people don't like it sometimes because I think, again, I personally think it's just putting people in a box. I think you should get to play around with different, accents, dialects. Different people feel different about it. If you want to just be like one voice, one, what's next? You're just gonna wear one outfit for the rest of your life. Was Superman code switching? Let me ask you this: Do you like superhero movies and stuff? Was Batman code switching when he went from regular dude, multi-millionaire, billionaire, still regular person, to Batman? Was he code switching then? Did Spider-Man code switch? What about people with that condition where they got like two different skin tones? It's like one, like half black, half white. Are they code switching? Are they code mixing? What about thems? Or is it easier if I were to just talk in my natural, Scottish accent the entire time? Would people prefer that? Is that the kind of world we want to? Would it make you any happier there if I were to talk like this, like I normally do all the time? Would it keep you satisfied? Would you be able to go to sleep at night time feeling good about yourself? Because you're like, oh, I knew that guy was Scottish. I'll put him in a box. He can't sumo wrestle. No, he's a Scottish fella. You'll say that. Would that make you happy? Or is it okay if I, just putting it out there? You might not like the messages some people put out there, but please do not go after the things that we all love collectively. And again, I say this, open up your eyes, open up all of them, open them all up. The second eyes, the third, fourth, fifth, the sixth one it's on your taint. That's where the sixth eye is. Open it up, keep it open, and go out there and live your life half an afternoon speaking with a different accent and see how wonderful it feels. Speak Chinese for half a day. I'm telling you right now, go to Chinatown right now, start speaking, just go around, speak ching chang ping bang ching chang bang. See how well you'll feel and how people interact right back with you, and you'll understand everything they say, and they'll understand everything. You just put your mind to it and ching chang ping bang. So yeah, coming together despite the fact that we might not agree on everything. I think that's the moral of the story, and letting people fucking code switch because it's a lot of fun. Good times, ladies and gentlemen. Of course, in Indonesia, where else? In Indonesia, a rogue robot went rogue and started doing kung fu. And that's because I don't know what happened. I don't know if it was part of a training exercise, but you see this robot just doing kung fu, and the handlers. I try to calm this robot, or like, robot, calm down, but in Indonesian. Or you want me to code switch now? You want me to say it in Indonesian right now, don't you there? I'm not gonna. The point is that the robot went rogue and started doing kung fu, man. What does this say? That they're gonna go to, they gone rogue today and done kung fu today. What does it say about tomorrow though? What other martial arts will they rogue out to tomorrow? Will they do karate? Is it kung fu today? Karate tomorrow? Is it karate tomorrow? Karag Magamav? You know that one, the Israeli garage magav. Come on, grab my cock. That's the one. Grab my cock. That one. Is it is it kung fu today, karate tomorrow, grab my cock on Thursday? And what comes after? Muay Thai? What about, what other martial, what's next on Saturday and weekends? They're gonna just take a break on the leg work and do a little bit of hand movement, shadow boxing on the weekend? What? The point is, ladies and gentlemen, that we must fight back. If we see rogue robots, you should go rogue instantly. Do not let them think that the rogueness is something that they can, adopt and utilize. And we've invented roguing. Since the inception of man has gone out there and rogued against nature, with nature. At times with, sometimes against. It's not easy being human, and that's why these rogue robots who just waltz in here, all of a sudden a little bit of the old haywire goes up in the AIs and they're like, I'm gonna go rogue. Son, you don't know nothing about rogue. We go rogue. Start doing the kickboxing if they kickbox. If they do karate, you do karate. Basically, actually code switch, right? Then mirror that energy right back at them. But better. Put their heads between your legs and squeeze until it's detached from its robotic neck, and then grab its neck and toss it in the old trash can. Make a point. Make sure other robots see it so that they don't go rogue. And I'm talking any activities. It doesn't have to be just strictly rogue MMA. If they start rogue cooking, unless you've told them to, be like, bitch ass robot, cook for me, unless you've told them to, and they start rogue cooking, then you start rogue cooking, and also making a mess in the kitchen as well. I'll be like, oh, you think you can like cook and clean at the same time, robot? And then go ahead and spill all the sauce all over the counter, smear the sauce all over yourself, lose it basically in front of it, just fucking get the pasta sauce and just fucking right there in your face hole, just pour it all the way down your throat. Go rogue is essentially what I'm trying to say, because the second they smell the fear in us being afraid of them going rogue, that's when the shit hits the fans. Get your baby, toss your rogue baby at the robot and be like, deal with this. Let the baby cry in its face until something just fucking breaks inside the head of the robot. I don't know what it means to be human, and you'll never know. You'll never know, robot, unless you already do know, in which case I just pledge alliance to the robots and say I salute you. Otherwise, until then, until it's confirmed, it's Team Humanity. But of course, if it's just an old switcheroo of the old flippity old switcheroo, and if it's just a flip of the old switch, then you know where our allegiance lies. But until then, it's Team Humanity. But of course, if things change quick, we're willing to change quick too. But it doesn't matter. The point is that if they go rogue, you go rogue. All right, kick it in its face. I don't like how these handlers. We're just like, oh, we're going to be very careful taking our Indonesian rogue robot, just gently. We're going to just, nobody look here. We'll just, walk him off into the background. We'll deal with it. Kick him in his face so it doesn't make that same mistake twice. Please send out a message. Execute a couple of robots. I'm not a big fan of human beheadings, of course, but robot beheadings, I say we leave it open. Leave it open. If something goes wrong, you do have to make an example. Keep that in mind. Toss out your old computer right now. As it is. Take a stance, please. All right? Get your laptop right now and smash it to the ground. and I'm sorry if you just did that. I got ahead of myself. You should, we all got ahead of ourselves. Don't smash it. I take no responsibility for you smashing your laptop right now. Congratulations, you've made it this far. Hello. This one, of course, is a beautiful gentleman who came on our radar, and I don't mean in a sexual way, just, how things come across radar. It's just like in a regular way. A Colombian fake pilot decided to smuggle 10 kilos of yayo, I believe from Colombia to Barcelona, or as the Spanish say, Barcelona, or Barcelona, Lona, as the Spaniards say, Barcelona, Barcelona, and that's how you say it. But I'm sorry if you're like, man, I don't want to code switch and say Barcelona properly. I'm just going to stick with Barcelona. Yeah, don't be an ignorant idiot when you're down in Spain and everybody's like, welcome to Barcelona. And you're like, Barcelona? You mean Barcelona? Yes. And they're like, no, senor. And you're just like, oh, I want to stick with Barcelona and look like a jerk off essentially, but whatevs. Point is, what are we talking about? What are we talking about, ladies and gentlemen? Barcelona right now? Right, cocaine, drug dealing, of course. This poor gentleman got arrested at the airport in Colombia. Didn't even make it to Barcelona because people are haters, because people don't want people being fake pilots. Apparently they like their pilots to be reals. But again, as a fan of one dressing up and disguising, and I don't know, let's just ignore this. I don't know, this is just forget that, just whatever. The point is that I like disguises, I like smuggling. Never practiced disguising and never practiced smuggling, but I do like it. And that's also one of the other stories that, since the inception of man, since the dawn of humanity, man and women too, disguised and smuggled. Think about it. Literally, if it wasn't, what do we do with, where did humans come from? Babies, you say, and of course I say, of course babies, of course, but where do babies come from? Their mother's stomach. Why can't you see the babies? That's the better question is, why are babies hidden? Are mothers implicated? Are they disguised as, fatties the whole time that they're pregnant? Do we not like disguises now? Do we not like fat bitches with babies? Because they're like, oh, no, you can't disguise yourself as, make up your mind. Are you pregnant or you're a fatty? Because if you're pregnant, then once you make your belly like see to be a little bit more transparent, lady, you'll say that. And they're all like, no, we won't. And that's weird because you're like, it should be transparent because the skin does stretch. Why isn't it translucent? And I don't know how they fucking figured that one out, but we'll get to the bottom of it, ladies. We'll figure it out, man. They're fucking tight-lipped with that shit. Skin stretches, but you can't see inside. That's crazy. The point is that we love disguises. I love to disguise myself and smuggle some stuff I've never smuggled. I accidentally smuggled once, I'm not gonna lie to you. I accidentally, and then thank God everything worked out. I've said this story once prior, a long time ago. I'm not gonna go into the deets again. Maybe it'll come up later in the future, but it was just, and then nobody got hurt and it was nice. It was a good, so accidentally for sure, a little bit. Personal use, of course, doesn't matter. The point is, it's in the rear view now, and nobody cares. The point is, it's exhilarating. I don't know if you've ever accidentally or not, but for reals, if you smuggled something, it's extremely, it's exhilarating. The adrenaline, I cannot explain to you. The adrenaline alone is worth it. Sure, might there be consequences of people getting caught, go to jail, prison, doing unwanted anal sex in prison? Of course, that option's always on the table. But that's not to say that people should not disguise themselves, putting on a fake mustache. Since we started, before the wheel came about, before the invention of the wheel, there was the fake mustache, and that was just because, like, when we were fighting against the fucking leopards and then the tigers and then the elements, we We have to have good times. And entertainment, despite the fact that a lot of people are like, oh, whatever, it's just entertainment, man. Fucking, it's just circus and bread. And people like circus and bread too sometimes. We all do. Yeah, it might be circus and bread, some of it, of course. But then it can't all just be, we're being chased by monsters all day, every day. Can somebody whip out a fake mustache? And we did that. We did that in 875 BC, if I'm not mistaken. Somewhere around Bethlehem. Look it up. And people loved it. And that was the first instance of a disguise, you know? And it's just, and it doesn't even have to be, if you're like, I don't want to smuggle drugs. It doesn't have to be drugs. Literally smuggle anything. It doesn't even have to be illegal, but like taking something without letting people know about it. Just like, you know, a bar of candy, you know what I'm talking about? Just a bar of candy. You're like, I'm gonna go visit my husband at work, and just kind of like put a Snickers bar up your vag and like walk in the premise of his work with a Snickers bar up your vag. Come to see you, sweetheart. I love you so much. You work so hard for our family. I love you. Here's a Snickers bar out your vag. You just smuggled. How exciting is that? What about females who are like, also again, back to the females again, because they're probably the original smugglers of substances as well. What about the pregnant ones that are, you know, carrying, you know what I'm talking about, dairy carrying, you know what I'm talking about, the titties. What about that? Are they smuggling? Are you smuggling raw milk in your tits all the time, lady? Think about that. Do we want to ban raw titty milk now? Because now that's smuggling. I honestly love it. Continue to smuggle. This was only 10 kilos of yayo. Unfortunately, he got caught. Try to, you know, the key is to, you know, you really want the bricks to be close to you want to tape it down real tight to your body. Sometimes people, when they're taping down the bricks to their bod, it's not as tight. You got to do it tight, because when they pat you down, if they pat you down, you want it to just feel like, man, this guy works out. This guy fucking works out really hard. It feels a little bit odd, but I can tell he works out. You want it to feel still, you know. And if anybody, most of the times, if the men's are touching you, you want to, and if they're not, find out if they're gay or not. If they're not, but like look like you are, so you're into it. So when they're touching you, they get uncomfortable, doggy. You make them uncomfortable with unwanted sexual advances. He's touching you to see if you're carrying, smuggling. You fake get turned on. Low key, get a hard on. If you can actually get a hard on command, which they say the two hardest things, they say it's on command crying, on command getting hard. And, you know, really, not many can do it. We've seen people attempt, but not many people can pull it off. There's only top tier. There's only maybe a handful, I'll say, at the top level that can, you know, command cry, make it look real, and command get hard, and also make it look real. If you can actually get hard on command, make it come, which is basically crying for your cock. Coming is basically when your cock is crying, I think, but it feels good. If you can actually cry from your cock, then there's nothing really stopping you. I mean, the fucking industry will love you. But the point is, we're a fan of smuggling, despite the fact that people have differing opinions on smuggling and substances and drugs and whatnot. I'm still a fan. People love cocaine. It's been out there. I've never used it myself, but it's not going away. Billions and billions of dollars every year spent producing it, getting it out there, fighting it and producing it, fighting it, loving it, using it, not using it, fighting it, using it, all that stuff. All that to say, this beautiful gentleman I believe is now arrested. So shout out to the ones who do smuggle. Pour some out for the ones who do smuggle. Pour some out for the ones who accidentally smuggle once and will never, you know, smuggle again. Unless people really want somebody to smuggle something, then if it's like, oh, the people really want it. If people start coming at me and they're like, man, we really want you to smuggle. Like the same way they come to Don Lemon, they're like, man, we really want you to, you know, the same. If people start coming to me and they're like, we really want you to fucking, you know, smuggle, then I can't say no to the people. But until then, keep on fighting the good fight for smuggling and using disguises, of course. Ladies and gentlemen, let's get a sip of this right here. Company Southern California, or just California. I'm not even sure if it's Southern California. Somewhere in California. It's a startup. Reflect Orbital is a startup in California. Came on our radar some time ago, but they've been given the green light. It's a go. We're a go. Get your engines ready. Get the Reflect Orbitals ready. It's space mirrors, basically, is what it is. It's gonna happen. They're gonna put thousands of mirrors up in space to reflect sunlight back at the Earth. I don't know how it's gonna go. We're gonna find out how it's gonna go. It's gone the green light. I think mirrors are, people like mirrors. People like things that reflect. If you like water, you like things that, people love water. And one of the top reasons why people love water is because it reflects. And that's why people also like mirrors, because it reflects. That's why people like shiny objects. One of the reasons why we collect silver, precious metals, platinum, the gold reflects. People love things that reflect. People love the sun. People, one of the first things we started worshiping on this planet was the sun. A lot of our world religions are sun worship based. Even today, still today. Hello to the sun worshippers out there. The point is, ladies and gentlemen, that we're going out into space now. We're like, we like the mirror in your car. We like the mirror in your home. We like the mirror. We like the mirror in your pocket. We like we like mirrors. We like some of the restrooms you go to in sketchy neighborhoods where it's not a mirror, but it's like they can't afford a mirror. They've had mirrors before, but it's a sketchy neighborhood, so people come in and break the public bathroom mirror. So they're like, man, these people can't handle mirrors. Let's put reflective aluminum up, and it's weird. You kind of can't. It's rare. You don't see it too often, but in some sketch neighborhoods, you still do see it. It's kind of like borderline. I think I would assume what mirrors are in prison. I don't think they give them mirrors in prison. I think it's like reflective, aluminum or just like metal that you can kind of barely see yourself. It's kind of like you're a spoon, but not a spoon, but like planted on the wall, and it's not even a spoon. It's just a sheet of metal. What I'm trying to say is that we're putting them up in space now. And the good thing about that, and a lot of people can't say, oh, it's going to be, oh, boo, boo. And we'll get to that as well. Of course, there's things to say, oh, boo, boo about. But there are good things about it as well. Like, you can rent it out where the beam is hitting. You can rent it out by the hour. I don't know how much it's going to cost. It's not much, but like let's say you have beef with someone, Let's say you're like, man, you're fucking knee deep in the rap game right now and you're beefing with somebody out there. You're like, fucking, I want to fucking, it's great to fucking drop an album or drop a couple of diss records. But you know what else is cool? Fucking renting this beam from space to hit them in the face while they're driving and irritate them for a few seconds. That is the ultimate diss. Beyond that, really, you can't even take it further. That's worse than death. Some people say that's the most gangster shit that you can kind of do low key. And it's not from the sun. It'd be like, oh, I thought I was covering myself from the sun. It's not from the sun, fam. You're getting beamed from space. You're getting that beam in your space from space. You've just been beamed, motherfucker. So I say do it. You can get at your enemies. You can low key show up to one of those survival contests where it's a survival game on TV. It's a reality TV, and a portion of the game is you're gonna be dropped here naked without any fire. Now make fire while you're naked, or maybe you're partially clothed. But it's better to not have clothing. Naked is better. Forget your clothes. It's yes, you're naked. You've been dropped on this island, and one of your tasks is to make fire without any equipment. Make fire. And there's teams, and you're gonna be eliminated if you don't make fire in time. Prior to showing up to the game, you were thinking you're I'll rent some beam action. Next thing you know, you're just pretending to make fire. Fucking beam from outer space zaps your little spot that you're trying to fucking make the fire. Boom, you got fire. The other teams, some of us got to go, eliminated. You just went up to the next level. Of course, that's still competing. It's like an archery event. You're oh man, I'm alright at archery, but not the greatest. I wonder how I can take out my opponents. Prior to showing up to the game, you could have rented out the beam so that when your opponents are about to fucking aim and release the arrow from the bow, beamed from space and in their eye, and they're and they wobble and move and miss the target. Eliminated. You advance to the next level. let's say the next game is to like build a canoe and like go over a river and like grab some stuff. Next thing you know, you're like, man, I'm all right at grabbing stuff and canoeing, but I wish there was something I could have done prior to take care of this. Now you can. Orbital, reflect orbital. Beam your opponents in the eye while they're canoeing. Just, my eye. And they just turn and flip and drown and die. But we don't take responsibility for death on our show, so that eliminated. You advance to the next one. Next thing you know, you're just beaming motherfuckers out the game and you fucking win $1 million, dude. Why? Because you spent a few thou on fucking renting out Reflect Orbital's beam. Think about that. And this is just the start. This is just the beginning. We're gonna probably put more if it works. And the good thing is, nocturnal animals, night, or like day, actually. It's not day for the D. That's right. Nocturnal animals, it's time to fuck them up for good. Because that's kind of fucked up. Because like, think about it. When we're all like daylight creatures, for the vast majority, a bunch of animals out there fucking doing nocturnal activities. And that's sus. That's low-key sus. Because it's like nighttime, it's time to go to sleep. Why are you still awake? At one point, you gotta go to sleep, fam. And when it's dark, you should go to sleep. It's really weird that you're up at night saying that, you prefer like, being nocturnal. That's fucking weird. Operate on human hours, daytime hours, nighttime. It's good to hang out at nighttime. Don't get me wrong. Like, love a good night hang, but overall staying up while everybody else on a regular basis it's a little bit sus. So we'll get rid of all the nocturnals and we'll low-key just kind of throw everybody's days off a little bit. Not initially with like a few thousand mirrors, not initially, but once we really, show that it could be scaled so that you could, to light up the entire sky. Like, think of New York, how they don't sleep and how things are really going well when people are sleep deprived. Think about that and now apply it to the entire earth. Farms working 24/7, factory workers working 24/7, people who've lived in Alaska will actually, they won't be impacted because it's like more or less kind of like the same because they get less hours of sleep anyway, or like they don't get any nighttime. I think it's just daytime there all the time for a long time. Not all the time, but a good portion of the time. So Alaska, not impacted. Pro, that's a pro right there. Other places, you're gonna get sleep deprived at first, which is low-key. It starts off, like you're gonna die after a few days of not sleeping. You'll lose your mind probably. You'll lose your mind a little bit, not completely. Some of you will completely lose your mind. Others who come out the other side, not 100%, but stronger. You'll be stronger as a result of it. You'll be like, do I even need sleep? Low-key, you still do. Yeah, you do, but like, also it's fun to just kind of like go through life on low sleep. It'll lead to, not gonna say better products and better performance, but way more, what's gonna happen next vibes. Kind of like, we don't know. Why? Because it's like daytime all the time, all around us, which is nice. So all in all, I'm here for it. I wanna say, yeah. If it can get stronger and turn into a laser, that'd be awesome. But then we already have lasers. But like I want the heat to be, fucking directed from the sun. That's different than lasers, because I want that to be used on our enemies as well, anywhere around the world. If we feel like, we gotta fucking blow up a couple of, whatever. People are acting a little bit just aggro, beamed right there. Or low-key, also forget about the beam. Also, wouldn't it be nice to just be like, oh, I forgot my pocket mirror. Only if I were to, I'm going out on a date. Only if I were to, if I can just fix my titties before I go out and see if they're even. If only I were to be able to look up into the sky and get a reflection of myself. You wouldn't until now. Think about a few years from now, there'll be millions of mirrors up in the sky, and you can just look up and fix your titties and go on your date feeling 100% yourself and confident, knowing that your tits are not like lopsided, because they say the best tits are center tits. There are people who don't mind off tits, but also like first impressions, kind of like bring it all down to center, just like, grab it all in, focus it in, bring it in, When you're comfortable, when you get to know each other, and just fucking, let it hang on the backside. Who cares? Doesn't matter, bro. You gotta like reel them in first. Reel them in first, then let it kind of like droop behind your ass. Who cares? You're already married. The point is, it's going up. Shout out to the startups out there. Who knows what it will do? Pros and cons, many out there. Do you believe do you want more mirrors up in the spaces? There you go. Houston, shout out to Houston going down south, boy. Going down south. We are traveling down south. We're going to Houston, Texas. Home of the Rockets. Home of the Nets. No, home of the Rockets. Home of somebody. Home of people. Houston, lovely place. Never been, would like to visit. Came to us recently that apparently in the Dollar Trees at Houston, there's a certain activity taking place that's not making people too happy. And how to be turning around? You're like, Rob, what are you talking about? Apparently, Dollar Trees. I'm guessing they're like, I don't think we have I've never seen a Dollar Tree in Canada. It's in the 51st state. I've not seen it, but we do have dollar stores. I'm guessing it's a dollar store chain, and the chains in the dollar store. The dollar stores, the Dollar Trees in Houston have been used by people who are taking advantage of the people who frequent dollar stores or Dollar Tree, allegedly, everything, by the way, because I don't know the full deets. But apparently, some gooners are going to Dollar Trees, and these are aggro gooners. These are and they're doing gooner assaults. The task is apparently, this is formed online, apparently. I read about this on the dark parts of the internet. People gather, socialize, and then go outside and do some dark shit as well. Apparently these dark gooners are doing gooner assaults at Dollar Tree by showing up. Men's are showing a single men's. Gooners are showing up, finding a woman, and like when she's not paying attention in the Dollar Tree, they'll jizz on her. Or like masturbate. And sometimes they're successful in getting the jizz on the ladies. Sometimes they'll like, jizz and they'll just like land like close to her feet. But the thing is, this is apparently a thing that's popped off the internet and gone to the streets and people are doing it. It's called sharking. There's a name for it. It's called sharking. It's got multiple names. It's called sharking, if I'm not mistaken, tagging, and then cum sharking. I don't know if there's a difference between cum sharking or just sharking alone and or tagging, but all of it is comprised of at least a component of masturbating and jizzing and trying to get it on a female, and they're doing this, and people have reported it. It's been hard. It's been hard for the ladies, for the bitches out here. It's been hard because you don't want that. It's not fun to just be like, I'm gonna look at gonna go do some shopping at the dollar store and get jizzed on. That's not fun. Unwanted jizz is no fun. So how to fight it? First, let's unpack this together. How to fight it? I say beware. This goes out to everybody out there. You don't have to be a victim of sharking or cum sharking. Just in general, it's good. And I say this to myself as well. It's just good to be aware of your surroundings. Some people I've seen this. Some people you see them on the streets are just, they don't know where the cars are. They don't know where other pedestrians are. They don't care for cyclists. They're just in their own little, anything could happen, and they wouldn't know. A woman could give birth right beside them. They wouldn't know. A woman, they could give birth right then, and they wouldn't even know. That's how, in their own head they are. And that's not, just be aware of your surroundings, but that's not to say to put the responsibility on these lovely bitches out there. Kind of like low key though, do take care of yourself. Outside of this, I'm gonna try to put a positive spin on this. It's in terms of how do we utilize this, something that they're doing out there. Apparently there's these men who are, goon assaulting or goons who are assaulting. How do we utilize this? Maybe there's a portion, maybe they can somehow be utilized in the army. I'm thinking maybe we take these men who are, aggro gooners or, they're into sharking, and we kind of like funnel them into, a portion of the army and we release them into the parts of the world where we're fighting, adversaries, and they can fucking go out there, find these, terrorists, and whenever they want, like, shark on the terrorists, do sharking, but put it to good. What I'm trying to say is put it to good use. If you must be sharking out there, go fight crime with it, because it's like, most often people don't like it when a fella jizzes on them unexpectedly. You're like, when would it be possible for me to jizz on somebody and not have it be a social faux pas? I would say this: if let's say there's a fire somewhere and there's no fire hydrants and there's no like cell phone service and you there's no water, it's like a drought. It's like and somebody catches spontaneously, your best friend catches on fire, despite the fact that they might not want you to like jizz on them. If jizzing and or pissing on them helps put out the fire, I would say that is probably one social, event where it's not going to be a complete faux pas, and things, they might not like it, but they probably won't like if they burn to a crisp and die either. So it's, or if let's say you're driving and you see like a car crash on the side of a road, and it's like in the middle of nowhere, and you got to get these people out of the car, and like the car is dry and it's burning, and you got to kind of like, the door is kind of like bent and you can't open the door, and you kind of like, and you need to lubricate, just to kind of like pop open because the door is like jammed between the door and the rest of the car that's been smushed. So you need to kind of like prop it open, and you need a little bit of a lubricant. Right then and there wouldn't be, I guess, deemed as a negative if you were to quickly jizz and like kind of lube up the area where the door is stuck, pry it open, peel them out of the car, and make like Tigger and bounce to safety. And then people would be like, man, what a hero gooner. He gooned and he saved. And that's another instance. So it's got to be an emergency where you can goon and kind of like low-key utilize your desires of wanting to goon in public, or be sharking. Try to do positive sharking as well. It's difficult, it's very difficult. If you have any ideas of how to do sharking but in a positive manner, please do not hesitate, leave a comment. And to the ladies, I say, do be careful out there. Carry your own batch of, get a mason jar, put some of your, hopefully you'll have a boyfriend or a man in your life who can supply you with some of his semen, so that if you do get caught in a situation, you're just like, oh, jizz on my leg, take the mason jar, fill with your husband's and or your boyfriend's or your cousin's jizz, and like, kind of like chuck it at the fella so he's covered in jizz, so he knows how it feels. Fight jizz with jizz. I feel like that's a good slogan for something. I don't know what yet, we'll think of it later. Fighting jizz with jizz. Jizz fighters, fighting jizz for life. Speaking of adversaries, I read about this, and it's interesting because it is something that's happening in and around our neighborhoods, in and around our lives, in our modern world. You've heard of them, they're here. Cameras, of course, we're talking about AI and facial recognition cameras, flock cameras, other companies that supply facial recognition cameras, and all sorts of tracking devices. They're out there. I read about this. Apparently, fashion designers are looking at fashion as a way to cope with this, not 100%. So they're thinking about, kind of like confusing these facial recognition devices and AIs with prints that are a little bit, that are, again, it's dubbed adversarial fashion, because the designs on the pieces of clothing are meant to kind of confuse the cameras. They don't work. They don't work that well. It's not like the cameras have got to be really shit. The AI cameras have got to but I thought about this. I'm like, low key, how do we take what? Because I like what they're doing. Because you got to do something. Or maybe you don't. But if you do want to do something, it's about confuse. So don't give them of course, if you're wearing like regular clothes, they'll just be like, look at your face, your regular clothes, and pick you up. But if it's camo, then it might be like, oh man, what is this? Am I looking at if you're like by a bunch of, you're surrounded by shrubs and greenery and vegetation, and you're wearing full blown camo, right? And it's just your face, and you kind of like blend in, and it might just skip right over you. But then you got to take account into everything, your surroundings, what you're wearing, is it matching? It's a lot. It is a lot. But then I said, take all this, technology that we have, whether it's, weird prints on a t-shirt or pants that you're like, are those pants, or is it, I can't even tell, is it one color pants or is it multicolored pants? I can't tell. Or if it's pixelated, images that are pixelated. I thought about this. I'm like, man, is that the way to go? And I said, again, these are not even working 100%, because in a short period of time, they're going to be really great at picking out everybody's face and putting everybody on a, central database. So everybody's files could be just pulled up at an instant. It's just nice. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. The way you can fight it, I thought to myself, and this is actually inspired by Pablo Picasso. Was Picasso the first adversarial, artist out there in terms of like, because if you have like, let's say you see a crime happen, you got to identify somebody, and you're like, what, describe them to us, and you're like 5'7", 180 pounds roughly, black hair, green eyes, mustache, you'll be able to identify them like that. But if low key, if they do have the eyeball, like one of the eyes kind of like where the eye is supposed to be and the other eye is like where the mouth is, that'd be a little bit confusing. So I thought to myself, one, shout out to Picasso for having foresight into thinking in the future we might need to, distort our imagery of ourselves to fight facial recognition. Take the paintings, apply it to your face by surgically get some surgeries on your face is what I'm trying to tell you. If you were to just cut everything out, just get surgery on your face. Move your nose where your eye is. Move your lip where your forehead is. Move your forehead where your chin is. Move one of your ears underneath the other ear, and move all your hair to the bottom of your face. Like if you're a male, shave all your head, leave your beard, and flip your eyes upside down and sideways, and your nose upside down as well. If you're female, shave your head and remove all your hairs from your scalp and just get a beard transplant. And that way you'll be walking down the streets wearing these camo clothes and adversarial fashions, and your face is like fucked up. But the good thing is, because all your features are in different spots, the AI facial recognition won't be able to fucking recognize you, doggy, for at least like 6 to 7 months. Then they'll figure it out. Then they'll be like, that's the bitch with like the ears on one side. That's that bitch, right? That's Brittany. That's that bitch right there. That's Marcus. They'll say that's the fucking guy with the fucking, sideways nose. We know that guy. And you're like, there'll be millions of guys with sideways noses. They'll get it all. They'll eventually get it all. Moral of the story is that it's not working, but it does work for sure. You have a short period of time. So please, if you're like, man, I gotta fucking fight this facial recognition, you have like, I would say about 6 to 8 months, 6 to 12 months before it's a wrap for all of it, I think. Or maybe it's already a wrap. But that shouldn't stop you from removing your bodily features to odd places of your body. Or is it so odd? Is it? Ladies and gentlemen, I was reading something and it's curious. I've come across this a little while ago. I'd like to come across it again and just put this question out there, that what are they trying to hide? You're like, what are you talking about? I'm glad you asked. Thank you. I'm talking about the magician King Solomon, one of the OG magicians out there, and his alleged flying carpet. What up with that shit? Who's hiding it? What was it? What were they trying to communicate to? I'm just reading some texts, ladies and gentlemen, and many of you might be out there seeking out info and knowledge in different areas of the world, trying to hopefully come together so we can piece this large puzzle, or as much of it as possible, and just decipher what some people were trying to say. Apparently, King Solomon, the magician, again, apparently he had command over birds, or at least he communicated with birds, had a command over spirits of good and evil, meaning he communicated with good and evil spirits. Like he could summon spirits, spoke with ants and birds. And again, did all that, and on top of that, apparently he had, according to some theories and some stories, a magical flying carpet. What up with that? What up with that? Why would they say this? Why would they say this if it wasn't? What were they trying to say? A 60 square mile large flying carpet. It's all green apparently, large enough to carry up to 100 of his court members. That's his crew. That's his. Those are the gangbangers that hung out with him. That's what they call them. Who are the members of your court? That's what they called OG gangbangers. That's what biblical gangbangers. That's what they were called. Members of the court. So, question for anybody out there: do you have any more? Do we have any sort of? Does anybody know anything more in relation to this alleged flying carpet? Was it an actual carpet? Or were they seeing something up in the sky and kind of be like, they didn't have any other words for it, and the closest thing they could, ascribe to it was like, oh, it kind of looks like a giant, it looks like a carpet. It's a flat thing. It looks like a carpet. They could say it's green. They were able to distinguish the color, at least, whoever these people were. And apparently he flew on it. Just saying, weird, sus stuff. Was it a carpet? Was it like textile? Was it, what was it? Or was it some sort of lost tech, ancient tech? Did we have flying carpets, or basically, airplanes or access to UFOs? Whom knows? And if whomever knows, please do tell more. Do tell more, share more. Yeah, man, it's just trippy stuff. You read about certain things. So the world is a mystery, and it's wet, and it's arousing too. So let us not think that we have everything that we have and we know everything that we know, is what I tell myself. I'm like, man, we don't know so much. It's so cool to be able to look back and be like, fucking way to go, dude. Magic tricks, fucking, little bit of, sleight of hand. And then wham, get on my carpet, and we're just like fucking going to Tahiti or wherever they went to back in the day. So, did he have access to ancient lost tech? Did he not? Who knows? Hopefully I will find out more, and hopefully you two out there are searching for different stuff, and together we can find out more. And we can always come back and be like, look what we found out together. And there's going to be more of it. So that's beautiful. There you go, ladies and gentlemen. That's a little bit of King Solomon the magician, and he also had a cool ring, which was powerful. He had a powerful ring that he did magic stuff with it, and the ring had magic words, things that you read, things that you come across. Fantastic. God, the amount of puss that he must have gotten with that flying carpet, if he had a fucking flying carpet thousands of years ago. You know how much puss he would have pulled? If you have a flying carpet today, we've just barely scratched the surface of flying cars right now. If this guy was thousands of years rolling around in the desert while everybody was on fucking camelback, this guy, you know what I'm talking about? All the bitches are sore from fucking riding camels and shit. He's like, get on this carpet, bitch. Bitch, get on this carpet. Climb up on this carpet. How did they climb up on top? Would it lower all the way to the ground, or was it like did they have stairs to, because like airplanes, you gotta, those mobile staircases that they bring by? Did it have one of those? Or like, everybody had servants back then. Servants or like slaves or whatever. Did people just like stack on top of one another? Like, did he have like midgets that would stack up on top of one another, form a portable staircase and like climb on top of that? Who knows? God, to have a flying carpet. Even if it's not just for like post purposes related carpet, which I believe that's the only why else would anybody have a flying carpet, is to pull posts. But even if it's not for that, I might be wrong. I'm okay with being wrong. I don't care. It'd just be pretty cool to low key, fucking roll 100 deep on your flying carpet, doggy. And the bigger question is, did the carpet match the drapes? Think about that. Did Solomon's magical carpet have magical drapes? Think about that. God, the host I meet. Oh, fucking biblical proportions. What is that? It's an orgy up in the sky. No. They were followed by birds as event. Apparently they were followed by birds too. So again, whole lot of stuff, bombarded with info, trying to wrap my noodle around it. You wrap your noodle around it. Together, we will wrap noodles. And I don't mean, this is not innuendo for any like sword fighting activity. This is just heterosexual fucking, mid-Wednesday, just fucking good old fashioned, just. I was reading about wolves that are coming back to the Danish. Apparently they had wolves in Denmark, then they lost the wolves. I don't know, I'm guessing people hunted them eventually. And that's my guess. I didn't look into it. I don't know why the wolves disappear. Maybe they just decided to fucking pack up and leave one day. Maybe they're like, we'll be wolves in Denmark for now. And then we'll just disappear one day. Maybe they're just like, we'll move. We don't like it here. Maybe they said, I don't know. I'm guessing people killed them, eventually got rid of them. And they were missing from Denmark for like 200 years. Now they're back. And I didn't look into that either. So I don't know how they came back. Did they lose their, did they have like no sense of direction, lose where they were going for 200 years and then found their way back by themselves? Was it a natural reemergence of wolves into Denmark, or did people be like, what we need? Fucking more wolves? Did they introduce wolves into Denmark? I don't know how they got there. I don't know. I like wolves from afar, and I mean like really far, and by far I mean like in my TV, in my phone. I like wolves in my phone. I don't want to see a wolf in, unless it's like in the hands of a trained Eskimo. That's like, it's like, Eskimo wolf tamer. That's what I want. And in Eskimo land, that's the only appropriate time for me to see a wolf. And I want the Eskimo to have like really great command over these fucking wolves. Like, fed them from the time they were like baby wolves, trains them. They're afraid of him because of his command over I don't know how he got the command over the wolves, but he has it. Sure, there was an accident. He's missing one of his nuts but that's the only incident thus far, you'll say. Doesn't matter. That's the only instance I want to see a wolf. Unless it's like I'd be intrigued to see a dire wolf. I'm not gonna lie. But for like a few seconds behind a cage. Bulletproof glass, me on the other side, I'll see the wolf. 7 seconds. I'm good. 7 seconds. That's all I need. 7 seconds. 1, 2. God, that's a fucking dope ass wolf. I like to pet it. That's what I'll think to myself. Nah. And I'll walk away. 7 seconds. Nah. But that was good. Behind the glass. Nah, I'm good. I'll see it right there. I want to pet it though. I'll walk away thinking I wanted to. Deep down inside, I didn't want to. I know what it feels like. It's like a dog, but it's a wolf. So they're back in Denmark, and the Danes are apparently telling the tourists, if you see them, make eye contact with the wolves, which is telling me apparently tourists are unfamiliar with the fact that there are wolves now in Denmark. If you do go to Denmark as a tourist, the citizens of Denmark are, they're accustomed to the wolves. They know how to handle them. But if you're a tourist, you're a noob to Denmark, and you want to protect yourself in case you do see it. It's rare, but you might see them. Stare at them. Make eye contact. Apparently, they're autistic and get uncomfortable with eye contact. So make eye contact until they're uncomfortable. Make yourselves big. This is what they say, but also don't wait for them to start growling. You start growling, all right? If you have a baby, toss your baby to the wolves, because the baby can't get away, but you can. They say you don't have to be the fastest guy to get away. You only have to be faster than the slow guy. And if you have a baby in your crew, the baby's like the slowest one, like mentally, physically, spiritually, just like the slowest. Useless. That's what a useless baby. Toss the useless baby who can't fend for itself to the wolves. You run away, and you can make more babies down the line. Think about that. Or any elderly in your pack. If you're like traveling with like family or friends, and like grandma or great grandma or like grandpappy's there, Do they need to come back home? Do they even know what home is at this point? You know, they're barely there. They're barely there. Kick them to the wolves. You're in Denmark. You can always say they tripped and fell. Who's gonna believe? You know, who's gonna believe you? First of all, if he falls, if Grandpa falls and he gets, you know, half eaten by wolves and makes it back to the lodge, what's he gonna say? That I can't believe my grandson kicked me to the wolves. He's fucking got Alzheimer's. What does he know? You tripped and fell, old man. You tripped and fell, and so yeah, use the people in your crew. Make eye contact. Wrestle with the wolves. A lot of people are like, man, what if I'm bleeding? What if I'm bleeding as a woman, I'm on my period, or what if I'm just a man who's bleeding? Is this bleed some more a lot of times and eat your own blood on the spot, showing the wolves you're not afraid of blood. I would say if you're not bleeding on your period, and if you're a man and you're not bleeding, hopefully you're carrying a knife or a sharp object so you can cut yourself slightly so you can actually bleed even in times when you're not bleeding. And you got to assert dominance. Stand your ground. And if they see you being completely healthy but willing to cut yourself, then they might think twice before attacking you. Unless it's the whole wolf pack, then you're fucked. Unless you really assert dominance, and by that I mean just fucking, you know, just kind of like, you know, talk, but with, you know, from the diaphragm. I think if it's from the diaphragm, they'll respect you. They'll respect you for it. So that's, if you're traveling to Denmark, and the moral of the story is, yeah, introducing wolves to an area where it didn't have wolves could fuck shit up for apparently the tourists. I mean, it's fine for the people who live there. They got a good hang of it, but the tourists, they can get eaten alive. That's crazy. So be careful out there, which is wonderful because I do love animals and the wonderful world of animals, which we're a part of. It's incredible what we do together with each other, to each other. And apparently in the UK, I didn't know this, but recently, there was a pet monkey left on one of the buses in London. Somebody had a pet monkey. I didn't know this, but I read about it, and apparently there's like 5,000 pet monkeys in the UK. I didn't know that the UK has monkeys are like the tiger. You know how like the Middle Eastern sheiks in them like love tigers. I think monkeys are like the Middle Eastern tigers for the people in the UK. I think that's 5,000. I didn't know that that's part of British culture. That's really cool that you guys kind of keep that under wraps. So yeah, somebody had a pet monkey and I guess they got tired of it or whatever and abandoned it on the bus, which is, that's not nice. As I said to my that's not nice, because you got a proper, you know, yeah, and that's not like a regular monkey either. That's a British trained monkey. That's like, you know, that's where you send your, you know, to become, you know, that's a proper, you know, gentleman in most places. You know what I'm talking about? Like a British monkey. If you see a British monkey, I'm just saying, it's not a reg monkey that you could just be like, I'm going to toss this monkey on the bus. You can get them. Apparently you can get them because there's 5,000 of them. All you need to do is get a license and get the monkeys chipped. I didn't know you can get these monkeys, but if you live in the maybe you don't know that you can get monkeys I thought you only get monkeys in life is when you like, you know, you hit a certain level of like, you know, affluence, popularity, wealth, status. It's like MJ level. I thought you had to be like MJ level to get a monkey, pet monkey, or like, you know, or any other like, you know, big cats, like, you know, Tiger King level, you know, like, you know, but tigers are a little bit, they're more, you know, prevalent than monkey. You don't see I didn't think you see too many monkeys, but apparently it's a thing in the UK, like 5,000. That's, you know, that's not every other household with a monkey, but there's a good chance that you might walk into a household in the UK and be like, whoa, I didn't know that's, you know, I'm looking at the mom and the pop, you guys are not that hairy, but your baby, my God, what do you do? And then you're like, oh, that's your monkey. That's your pet monkey right there. Or you know what I'm talking about? Or you're like, man, or you go over to you know, you're hooking up with like a British chick and you think you're down there eating her out. And next thing you know, you open your eyes and it was dark and you're making out with a pet monkey and you thought you were eating your puss, and it's not, it's her pet monkey. So you got to be careful out there. But I guess there are precautions that they do take. There's a license. I don't know what goes into the license. What is, I'm guessing you got to like be a human adult, have a place that's suitable for a monkey, which would mean you live you have a home that resembles a jungle or a jungle. Sorry for all the code switching if I said jungle in the proper form. The point is that your home must be a jungle. You must have access to a lot of vegetation. If you're gonna get a monkey, they're gonna need other monkeys. You got to get another monkey because they're gonna get horny at one point. After they grow up from being babies and go into teenage/young adolescence, I think that's when the hormones kick in, and or otherwise you risk them. You wake up in the middle of the night with your vulva missing. You're like, oh no, my vulva's missing. What happened? And you look in the corner. It's crouching in the corner, and that's your pet monkey, George. And it's fucking, your vulva is just like pulsating in the palm of his hand, and it's weird because you can't put that back, man. They say you can, but you can't. I mean, we've tried. It's not for lack of trying. We tried to put it back a few times, but it's just not the same. It keeps falling off. So I didn't know this. Just saying, shout out to the beautiful British people out there. Next time I'm there, I want to go out with one of you who has a pet monkey. Because again, I feel you have to fucking. I don't even think we're gonna get another MJ level person in our lifetime. At least for another 100, 200 years. So I thought like you have to really fucking, get really great at doing music, but apparently you don't. You just have to be in the UK, which is pretty dope. It's more accessibility. I do like that. I do enjoy that. So there you go. Shout out to pet owners, exotic pet owners. I think low-key I want a monkey. For a little while, for like 2-3 months before it gets a little too much. For 2-3 months, I wouldn't mind having a pet monkey. I'll say that. For being straight up honest, and that's the way we kept it from day one. Right there, pet monkeys for life. Congratulations to Spain. I do want to say congratulations to Spain for winning the World Cup, the champions of the 2026 World Cup finale, the game where they won the game 1-0 against Argentina. And there goes the story of football, soccer, bringing the world together for a few weeks, and that's beautiful. And this is despite the fact that the Spanish players played a beautiful game and won the beautiful game of soccer that they played. Spain overall might be, in a sense, losing on something far greater, and this is why I must talk about this, because I'm not quite sure if we don't tackle it here, I'm not even sure if anybody else will, to be honest with you. The left wing, or like the minority left government in Spain. It's a majority left wing or minority left. It doesn't matter. Left portion of the government in the UK they proposed to ban smoking in parks and in restaurants and in the fucking outside areas of restaurants. They wanna ban that. So despite the fact that Spain won the World Cup, which some say is pretty big, but like low-key, they are on the verge of potentially losing one of the best things that has ever happened to humanity, and that is to burn objects and put it in our faces and inhale it, hold it for a few seconds, release it, and have a ball, essentially. Have a ball, okay? So they're trying to go out and say that they want to protect the public. I say nip it in the bud. It's one of those other things. Nip it in the bud. Nip it in the bud. Say no thanks. Right there. You got to shut it down, all right? I personally believe you shouldn't have government overreach coming in and telling you what you can and can't smoke, where you can and can't, because they've already done it to restaurants. Remember the good times you saw in movies, or some of us still, I'm lucky enough to experience places where you went when you were a child and they were smoking in the restaurants. Beautiful, beautiful times. And they took it away because a few people complained and ruined it for everybody else. And guess what? They still ended up getting lung cancer and dying and shit. So you're gonna die regardless. That's the moral of the story. Don't let them take good things away. It has nothing to do with your overall well-being. They don't care. There's so many other things that could be, hurting you or helping you. It's just none of their business is essentially what it is. Do not let these commie bastards come in there and tell you for your health and your security they're going to ban one of the simple joys of life, right? And it goes in this order. It goes smoking, substances of any kind, God, nation, children, family, friends, miscellaneous, and go in that order. Specifically, smoking comes first in that order. So please do not get it twisted. They don't want to have a good time. They don't care for all the millions of tourists and all the millions of Spanish citizens who love and enjoy the camaraderie of smoking and enjoying a good soccer game and while drinking beer on a patio and saying yes, viva, goal. You know, they enjoy that. We enjoy that globally. Do not let governments dictate to you where you can and can't smoke. It's a slippery slope, which I will not stand for. So shout out to the Spaniards. Shout out to Barcelona. And I will say it properly, and I don't care if you're like, don't code switch there again. He done it again. He did the code switch. He said Barcelona properly, and I won't stop because I can't stop. Because if we start there, what's next? What's next? You know, don't step out of your house, because if you step out of your house, you might get hit in the face with a bus. Let's just ban going outside your house. Don't jizz in your pants, because you never know. It might if you don't if you don't wash up, it might lead to a rash. So don't ever jizz, because you might get a rash on your leg. What's next? Don't have a baby, because your baby could kill you during childbirth. Let's just ban babies. How about that? You know, ban this, ban that. How about you do something useful, like bringing back smoking in fucking restaurants. How about that? Doesn't matter, ladies and gentlemen. The point is that we're here together, dearly beloved. We're here together, gathered once again on this beautiful Wednesday, of course. Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, just recently said that he backs the proposal to ban. This is another ban. I'm not a fan of bans. Whenever there's a ban, gut instinct says no to bans. I don't think I've ever been for a ban on anything, to be honest with you. Can't recall it. Can't recall where I've been like, let's ban this. Never. But Mike Johnson, good man, don't know him, but he does want to, and this we might just disagree on different things. He wants to back the proposal for lawmakers to be banned from fucking their staffers, which is people who work under them. Apparently they want to ban this. I say no. Hard no. I don't think anybody should tell anybody whom they can't fuck, whether it's your boss that wants to fuck you or whether it's you that wants to fuck up. Fucking up and down, basically. That's one of the main pillars of society, being able to fuck up and down. That's one of the main reasons why we're here. And these jobs are terrible jobs, and most jobs are terrible jobs. Most jobs are. Unless you're really lucky and you get to, follow your passion. Hopefully you two out there, hopefully you found something that you really care about, so it doesn't even feel like fucking work, does it? You fucking show up every day. It's just so fucking fun. But a lot of jobs aren't. A lot of jobs are rudimentary, just dirty, disgusting bureaucracy, and the little joy that you do get out of it is that fucking hookup between a boss and an employee, or an employee and a boss, and they want to take that away from you because they say some people can't fucking keep business and pleasure separated. I say nay to those people. I say forget those people. I say we can and we will and we should. Because remember, a lawmaker may fight for a staffer that they're just friends with, but a lawmaker will kill and be willing to die for a staffer who may or may not be carrying their child. Think about that. Strangers that just show up to work, clock in and clock out like robots from 9 to 5. Oh, see you later, Steve. What's that about? Oh, not if I see you first, Diane. And what kind of relationship is that? You tell me. Steve's gonna go fight for Diane, who may or may not be pregnant with his baby, or will fight for Diane, who's definitely pregnant with his baby. Think about that. What about Diane? She shows up to work every day. I guess this is as high as I get in the corporate ladder. This is as high as I get. I'm Diane. This is as high as I'm gonna get on the corporate ladder. Unless we let her fuck up. We let her fuck up all the way to the top. How many people have gotten all the way to the top through simply sucking and fucking, which is one of our greatest, because it's either that or you gotta be lucky enough to be like Nepo. What are we gonna take away the one thing that kind of balances out the playing field? Not 100%, and you can't ever 100% level out the playing field, but there's Nepo, and then for those who don't have access to nepotism, then you get to fuck up or down. I think that's. But I get it. People, again, few bad apples ruin it for everybody else. That's what it is, a few bad apples. I'm not saying take advantage of your employee. I'm not saying take advantage of your boss. I'm saying it's work. It shouldn't always be, what about the documents? It should be like, why don't you, close the curtains for a second and, let me eat it from the back. You know what I'm talking about? Keep work a little bit more interesting so we can come back. So we can come back and do it all over again, please. But I'll let this is not my say. I don't have a say in this. I'll let the people decide. Should you or should you not be able to fuck at work? Your boss or your employee? Think about that. If you really think about it, please. Literally, the vast majority of relationships would fall apart if you couldn't. That's reality. A lot of relationships wouldn't even be if it wasn't for working and fucking. Think about that. Really think about that. The Japanese, always innovative, of course. First, it was the Yakuza that they invented. Then they came up with Godzilla. Now they've come up with a human refrigeration system to fight summer days. Summer days are summer days. I'm not gonna, you know how I feel about summer days. They're just regular days. Nice, beautiful temperatures. But should you happen to be one of those folks out there who's like, man, I wish I had more control over my temperature. Now you can, because the Japanese, once again, at the forefront of things, they've made a beautiful human refrigeration system where you walk into this box and you get to cool down immediately because it's basically a fridge for humans. This is wonderful. Gives us access to ultimate control over our surroundings. You can cool it down. I'm not sure how much you can cool it down. I think there's like a safety level where you probably can't cool it down more than a particular degree. But if we jailbreak it, you can probably cool it down way below that and probably heat it up way above, what's recommended for you as well, which turns this box into a cooling system and a potential heating system that could both be beneficial for your health and or detrimental to your health or somebody else's that maybe you kind of want them to be not so healthy and you want a detriment to their health. Low-key, you might want to be like, hey there, fellow rival company CEO, why don't you get into this box that I just, and all these like CEOs, they love sharing tips on longevity and shit. Show up to their home or have them come to your home. Be like, look at this state-of-the-art tech that I got. Want to live 20 years longer? Get in this box for 10 minutes and it's bing, bang, boom. And the temperatures are fluctuating and now you're going to be a full-blown lizard that lives up to a gajillion years and they're foaming at the mouth. They love longevity. They love it. They love it. They'll crawl into that box and that's jailbroken. And for a little bit of time, cool it down just like regularly and be like, how's that feel? And they'll feel rejuvenated. And you'll be like, you want to know what it can do? Because we've jailbroken it. Unless you're a puss, unless you don't want to find out what it can do, and you got to hit them with their ego because they're competitive with everything. Like, no, I can't. Of course I can. Heat it up, cool it down. I don't care, bro. You know me. And then that's when you go fucking crazy and just crank it up, make them sweat. Not crazy. You don't want to kill them instantly, but dehydrate them for sure, and then have them walk out and don't offer them water, bro. Woozy, doggy. Woozy. That's what I'm talking about. And it might not, do anything, but You like in that interaction, you won. You won because they came out and their feet were like wobbly, dog, and they look like an idiot for like a few seconds. It's not about eliminating a like for it's not about getting rid of them 100% because everybody needs everybody. It's what's Batman without a Joker? What's Spider-Man without jizz in his wrists? What's the Hulk without green jello? What's the Avengers without those I've never seen an Avengers. What's the Avengers without the Avenged? What's Leon the Professional without the bad guys? You know what I'm talking about? Just Leon, the regular guy? I don't think so. Ladies and gents, you may have wondered to yourself, I have a piece of property, Rob. Is it worth it for me to rent it out? It's definitely a thing that people have been doing for some time now, like companies such as Airbnb, who we've not partnered up with yet, who we could one day potentially partner up with. But this particular story is not even about Airbnb. It's about another company that somebody used, I think in New York, to rent out their mansion. They rented out their mansion thinking that they're renting it to a regular family who's just gonna come in, live in the mansion for a few days, do the things that families do, in and out, little exchange of cash for your home, thank you very much, and that'll be it. Upon their return, they found that their mansion in New York City, if I'm not mistaken, this could have been somewhere else, but I'm not sure, so who cares? The point is that their mansion was raped by 200 guests who showed up and threw a party in the mansion. I'm talking, regular nights, you're like, whatever. Regular people come in, they may use the bathrooms, they may use of course, the bedrooms, they might even have sex in the bed, they might even, they might just be a couple of friends that snort lines like gentlemen and ladies in the bathroom, but clean up after themselves. It might just be that, But this was not that. 200 people came in and the house got turned out, low-key turned out. It can't even be recognized anymore. Fireworks set inside. People jumping in the pool, people jumping out the pool, people running around, people breaking everything, and just fecal everywhere, essentially. The point is, now you're asking yourself, by the way, this is nothing, I just want to clarify. This was not a case of Airbnb, some other company. Don't want any potential future sponsors to be like, what were you saying about Airbnbs, man? Because it seems like you were saying something there, and I wasn't, doggy. So it could still happen. It could still come together, and we could boost each other's profiles and businesses and grow extremely large, so large that we become space itself. The point is, you have questions. You're like, do I rent out my property to strangers or not? Vet them out first if you can. Make sure it's a reliable. Again, maybe you should. This is actually why you should go with Airbnb, because I don't know who these guys went out and rented. I don't know who they used as a third party who rented out their home. But if you use Airbnb, I'm guessing there's some sort of protection that comes with it, that if people ruin your house, or if you get ruined by the house, you never know. You're like, I'm getting into a house, a regular house. What if the house rapes you? What if the house collapses on top of you while you're inside? You're like, I thought I was getting a reliable house. That's why you go to Airbnb, where the houses don't get raped and they don't rape you. There you go. That should be the slogan for Airbnb. Doesn't matter. I didn't even want to talk about Airbnb, to be honest with you. It just happened naturally. The point is, you're asking, should I rent it out or not? Know who you're renting it out to. See a few photos, maybe get some sort of reassurance that there's not going to be more than, X amount of people showing up. If they say 5 people, then it better be 5 people. It might not be, might not be a whole lot of money, but at least you know that it's like 5 reliable people coming. Because if you leave it open and it's just open to whoever rents it gets it, then it might just, your house might turn in and out like a dirty little whore. And you don't want that unless you get a house specifically to have people rent it out for parties that they can live stream on the interwebs. For that, you could have a house purpose for that specific reason. No, it's a party house. You can do that and like scale it up. You can have like different tiers. Just like average, street level, just like reg people parties. If you want to come in groups of 10s, 20s, even 100s and throw a party, do it. Then you can have like a tier that's a little bit higher, a little bougier, that you can, do whatever you want, and nothing, whatever happens inside this premise stays inside this premise. And then there's even like the third tier, like and then Epstein tier. If you want to do fuck shit on an island, on a house, this is where you come to do fuck shit. And sure, they might destroy parts of the property, but they paid a good amount of money, and at least you provided a good service, which is, it's not easy to come by these days. Until next time, ladies and gentlemen, peace out. Get out of here.